If I asked you to name the book with the most shocking opening line, what would you choose? For me, the answer is Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. I believe if you don't fully grasp that very first sentence, you can't truly experience the depth of this timeless work. Before we dive into that line, let me take you briefly to Prague, one of my favorite cities and Kafka's birthplace. I recently visited for the second time and stood before the famous rotating Kafka head, a 42-layered sculpture that slowly turns every hour. Starting at it, the only word that came to mind was Kafkaesque. What does Kafkaesque mean? The term, drawn from Kafka's name, describes situations that feel absurd, complex, and illogical moments where you are powerless, trapped inside a system you can't escape or even fully understand. This feeling of alienation runs through all of Kafka's writing and is embodied in that spinning head. Kafka himself lived with alienation. He was never the brilliant student his successful businessman father wanted. He studied law, worked at an insurance company he hated, and died of tuberculosis at 40, asking his closest friend Max Brod to burn his unpublished manuscripts. Thankfully, Brod ignored that request, preserving the works that would make Kafka famous only after his death. Alienation is the central theme I see in The Metamorphosis. Kafka felt alienated from his father, from society, from his own work, and finally from himself. Many of us know this, feeling the quiet disconnection from people, jobs, or even our own identity. The novel begins with one of literature's most startling lines. One morning, when Gregor Samsa woke from troubled dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a monstrous vermin. In Yerman, Kafka used the words ungeren, ungesifer, which convey something more menacing than the English horrible vermin. Creature, both monstrous and impure, unfit for sacrifice, something no one wants in their home. Gregor wakes to find he is no longer human, yet his first thought isn't horror about his body but panic about missing work. That's the brilliance of Kafka. Gregor is a traveling salesman who hates his job, but he worries more about catching the next train than about his own grotesque transformation. It's a quiet critique of capitalism. Workers treated as replaceable machine parts, valued only for productivity. Gregor supports his parents and sister, pays off debts, and sacrifices his own dreams until his metamorphosis strips him of the ability to earn. At first his family shows pity. His sister feeds him and cleans his room. But as time passes, they grow resentful and ashamed. He becomes a burden, hidden away. The sister he cherished finally declares that the creature is no longer Gregor. Injured by his father and increasingly rejected, Gregor retreats into silence and dies alone. His death brings his family relief, even hope. They step out into the bright city, dreaming of their daughter's future. Gregor fades, as if he never existed. The Metamorphosis is not just about a man turning into an insect. It's a mirror held up to our own world, asking, when someone can no longer produce, what is their worth? Gregor is alienated from his work, from society, from his family, and ultimately from himself. Kafka doesn't hand us grand lessons. Instead, he exposes the ordinary truths of modern life. 4 quiet compromises, our slow loss of humanity. It tells a story that still asks each of us, in a society that values productivity above all, are we to becoming something less than human?